Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am finally back in Florida and starting to get settled in. I set up my bookshelves pretty much the second or third day that I was here, and then I took my time kind of unpacking all of my books. I still have some organization to do back there, but for now I think it'll work. I really wanted to get back to making videos because I missed it. So today I thought it would be fun to come back with kind of a more laid-back video. I've been seeing this tag going around, the mid-year check-in tag. I know there's another one called the mid-year freak-out tag or something like that, but I like these questions better. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. I'll have all of the information about who created the original video down below. I wasn't tagged by anybody. I just saw a couple people do it and I thought I would join in. But I'll have all of the questions listed down below in case you're interested in doing this tag as well. Okay, so the first question is, how many books have you read so far this year? And for me, it's been 39 books. I still have a couple of days left in July, but I don't know if I'll be, well actually I might be adding one more book to that list, but 39 books for me is really good. And I think it has to do with two things. Number one, I didn't set a good read goal this year. And number two, more often, or how do I say it? I have no issues putting down a book and moving on to a next or a different book. So last year, what I would do is if I wasn't really feeling a book, I would still push through and try to finish it, even though I wasn't really that into it. And so what would happen is I would skip days in my reading because I just didn't feel like picking it up. And then I would try to combat that by having like 2 other books that I would rotate, and that kind of worked. But what would happen is that sometimes I wasn't into any of the books I was reading because I felt like I had to stick to a TBR, I had to finish them, and I wasn't in the mood to pick them up. Whereas this year, I don't really have a TBR. I pick up a book, and if it's not interesting me, then I set it down and I pick up another book, and I just do that until I pick a book that I can't put down. And so I think that's really made a difference this year, and I'm already reading a lot more than I was last year. And I don't really have like an end goal. I don't have like a number of books that I have to do this year. But this whole kind of like more flexible way of reading has really helped me read more consistently. Okay, the second question is favorite book so far this year. And I kind of cheated. I have 2 books, Horns by Joe Hill and The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. So one of those is kind of like a fantasy paranormal book / horror, and the other one is like a zombie book, which I don't know, but I had to be honest. I really had to think back on the books that while I was reading them, I was like super hooked into them, and then I couldn't wait to talk about them, and I just savored them. And so those 2 books are the ones that came to mind. I have another book that I'll talk about later on for another question, but those are the 2 books that I immediately thought of. Number 3 is most disappointing book that you've read this year. And I have 3 because of course I couldn't just pick one. The first one was Strange Weather by Joe Hill. I also have in here Tin Man by Sarah Winman, and then Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin. I think out of those 3, the ones that hurt me the most were Go Tell It on the Mountain and Strange Weather, because I have loved books by these authors before, and so I was really having high expectations and really expecting to love the books. I guess I could also include there The Good People by Hannah Kent, because I gave Burial Rites 5 stars, and I was so sure that I was gonna love her next book, and even though it was very different from the first, that when I ended up reading it, I was just so disappointed that it didn't live up to my expectations at all. So number 4 is, what genre have you read most this year? And for me, it's a tie between historical fiction and nonfiction. I've read 9 of both this year. Number 5 is new favorite author that you've discovered this year. And for this one, I picked 4 authors, and they're all women, which I'm really excited about. The first one's Carolina Robertis, then there's Jessie Shafee, Andrea Wolf, and Yagi Yassi. Definitely going to be reading more books by these authors. Number 6 is most surprisingly good book you've read so far. And for this one, I picked Perla by Carolina Robertis, which I just read last month. I was not expecting to love this book as much as I did, but I ended up loving it so much. It's definitely a Sarai book. It was very short and lyrical and emotionally wrought, and also it was based on true events, and so all of those things are like that makes up a me book. I really enjoyed it. I was savoring this book. In fact, I should have probably put that book also in some of my favorite books of the year, so add that one to number 2. And number 7 is favorite and most anticipated 2018 releases. Well, in terms of favorite 2018 releases, I don't really have any. I mean, I read 2 releases this year, and they were not my favorites. So I'm just going to answer the second part of this book, which is most anticipated 2018 releases. And I don't really keep up with books. I was just watching Adam's channel. He did a video on the Man Booker prize list, and those videos are always so much fun to watch. But as he was rattling off all of these books, I hadn't heard of any of them. I didn't know about any of those books. And so I guess I'm like a horrible booktuber in the sense that I never know what's going on in the literary community. I only know about new books when I see them out at the library and the new releases section. But yeah, I can't, even the book that I'm going to share with you now, I only know about it because someone tweeted about it on Twitter. So it's not like, I really need to work on that. How do you guys keep track of what's coming out, or, you know, what's the new and upcoming author? I never know until it's like months later. Anyway, that was a long tangent. Okay, so my most anticipated book is Becoming by Michelle Obama. This is a memoir that she wrote. I pre-ordered this book, which I never do. I never pre-order any books, but just knowing that this was written by her, I immediately was like, yes, please give me this book. So that's the one that I'm most anticipating. Number 8 is next big priority for your reading. For me, it's just to complete my 2018 TBR. I'll have that video linked up somewhere in the cards. I did a books that I want to read in 2018 video. I have quite a bit still on the list that I need to read, and I also still want to focus on the books that are sitting on my shelves, trying to just read what I've been buying, and kind of reminding myself that I have books on my shelves that I need to read because I've been going to the library so often. So those are my 2 big priorities. And number 9 is bookish highlight of the year so far. As a bookish highlight, I was thinking about, you know, back throughout this year, anything different that I did in terms of reading, anything that like really stood out to me. And so I thought about The War at the End of the World by Mario Vargas Llosa, and I picked this book because this is when I started really annotating my books, and I never really annotated before ever. I never wrote in my books. I never used sticky notes or anything in my books, and I decided to do it with this book because there was just so much going on that I started annotating, and I just ended up loving it. And ever since then, I've been annotating books here and there. It depends on the book, you know, not every book I feel like needs to be annotated, and of course if it's a library book, I'm not touching it. But if it's a book that I own and I just feel like annotating it, then I will. I've done it with I think 3 or 4 books now. I was actually thinking about doing a video about how I annotate my books and like what I do. Let me know if you'd be interested in a video like that. But yeah, that's question number 9. And then I think number 10 is to tag other people. So I tag anybody who is interested in this tag but hasn't done it yet. I really enjoy this tag. I think it kind of narrows my focus because I've been thinking about what I've done the first half of the year, and it kind of reminds me of what I want to do for the rest of the year, how I'm doing with my goals. And so I think that this is always a cool video to do. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. Please leave me a comment if you have any thoughts on what I talked about in this video, or if you want to tell me any like interesting books that you've read lately, or you know, let me know how you keep up with new releases. I would love to know any of those things. It's good to be back, and I am hoping to be able to be more consistent with my videos for the second half of the year now that I'm settled back in Florida. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.